Hi everyone, I'm Evangeline right here at Etrailer. Today we have the RockyMounts GuideRail 2-bike carrier. We're taking a look at how it fits here on our 2024 Jeep Grand Wagoneer L. Now, the GuideRail is pretty popular because it's a great bike rack that's dual wheel mounted. So this is a style that you'll see on a lot of more premium racks. But even with that, you're still going to be at a slightly more affordable price compared to your more premium name brands. You still get really good features. RockyMounts is known for good quality, 60-pound weight capacity on this bike rack, and you have a really easy tilting away function. Now, the downside though for this bike rack, especially on the Grand Wagoneer, is how high it sits. So I highly recommend taking a look at the ramp. That is an add-on piece sold separately here at Etrailer, but I think it would be worth it for the Grand Wagoneer L. Now, if you did want to get access into your vehicle, which is going to be the first feature we'll look at, this does have a pull handle at the end, which I like. I think it's easy to operate that compared to some other handles that are further away. This allows you to open up your hatch door. Now, I'm gonna stop this real quick so that we can do this pretty slow. And you'll see here that on our pedal, that when this comes up, we have plenty of clearance there. We also have plenty of clearance up here for our handlebars. So if you do want to use your large cargo space, you put all your backpacks or your helmets or your waters or things like that in there, this is going to be totally fine to open up when you have this rack tilted away. Now, to bring this back up, it is simply a matter of lifting this rack up and it snaps into place and you are ready to drive. Now, that process may be a little bit more difficult or more easy depending on how much weight in terms of bikes you have loaded on here. Again, this has a max weight capacity of 60 pounds per bike, which is pretty average for most heavy-duty bike racks. Now, this does secure your bike by the front and the rear wheel, and I do like how it does that because you utilize these bright blue levers here at the end. So what I do is I just press the lever just to start our first click and to just kind of disengage it a little bit, because then I can flip those levers open and then just push the arm all the way out. Now, these arms can go all the way down if that's better for you. That's also how you would use a ramp. And from here, you just grab your bike and then you can go. Now, I'm going to just go and put this bike away so we can take a closer look at those trays. So notice there how you have different tire widths. That's going to be for different tire sizes. The maximum tire size you can have with this is up to 3 inches wide. So if you have a fat tire bike, maybe not as ideal. That's when I would recommend something different, like the Gigawatt bike rack. Now let's bring this back in. What I really like about the GuideRail though is just how much wheelbase you can carry with this rack. So let's start listening for a click right there. So as far out as over here, this rack is already securing your bike. So for the extra long wheelbase, for extra large mountain bike frames, this is going to be a great fit for you. Now, what it might not be a great fit for though is if you are one that struggles to lift up and over because of where this sits. So if you take a measurement for that, let's say the end of the bike rack to the ground, that's 34 inches or almost 3 feet. That's a lot of height that you are going to have to lift up to get to that last tray. That's because the GuideRail is something that a lot of people use for their vehicles that don't have much clearance. Now, it doesn't sit super far out though. It's on the pretty normal end for the length it does take up, because if you measure from the hitch receiver to the end of the bike rack, this is going to be 31 inches. So that's pretty average for a 2-bike platform rack. This does fold up to be more compact, as you can see right here in the up and down position. Again, measuring from the end of the hitch, which is where your bumper sits to the end of the bike rack, that's gonna be 14 inches. So this is how you'll have your bike rack when you're just driving around town. You're not planning on taking any bikes out just yet, but also you don't want to take your bike rack off because it is on the heavier side. This does fit into your 2-inch hitch receiver on your vehicle, and it does have a lock on it too. And another thing is that this is actually a really pretty bike rack. I like how RockyMounts does use a darker blue for their accents. I think this looks really good behind the Grand Wagoneer. I'm not worried about it covering the taillights or the window or anything. Now the backup camera does sit just above the bike rack, so you are definitely gonna see the bike rack in your view, but also you're gonna have a lot of visibility around the bike rack, so I'm not too concerned on that either. But if you're looking for a very sleek bike rack that matches the sleek look of your Grand Wagoneer, has a decent weight capacity, and is easy to use, this might be a good option. However, when I mentioned the ramp, what I actually meant was that RockyMounts has a ramp with the RockyMounts Gigawatt. The Gigawatt is their other bike rack option. Really good weight capacity, has a ramp included. That's actually something that I would recommend if you really need to use a ramp. I'd recommend that over this. Now the Gigawatt has a little bit of a different design to it, more of your traditional bike rack versus the sleek look of the GuideRail. But when it comes to functionality, I do think that offers it a little bit more, plus it doesn't sit as high up. However, I do see a lot of GuideRails out in the wild because they look so pretty. So it is nice to see it here on our Grand Wagoneer, and that way you can decide if it is the right fit for you. But today, this was a look at the RockyMounts GuideRail 2-bike platform rack on the 2024 Jeep Grand Wagoneer L.
We're going to take it out here on the test course. First thing we're going to do is hit the bumps. We're just going to see what it's like if we did hit some speed bumps. I'm watching the bike, watching how it holds on the tires. It looks like it moves just a little bit, not too much. This is mostly standard with other bike racks, so nothing to worry about. The bike doesn't look like it's going anywhere. Now we're going to go a little bit faster in the parking lot. I'm going to take some aggressive turns and see how it handles there. Looks like it's fine. I see a little movement again, but again, the bike's not going anywhere, so I don't have to worry about it.